This is the TC Electronic Plethora X5. It's a Toneprint pedal board. Features 5 Toneprint effects from the TC Electronic pedals. And it's a credible pedal that is very versatile and can integrate with your existing pedal board, and using overdrives and analog style pedals with this board. So let's take a look at it. So it has 5 switches. We have our knobs here to adjust the sounds, and the power of this pedal, it can connect via Bluetooth to an iPad or an iPhone, and even to a computer through a USB port on the back, and we can fine-tune the sounds and we can save them. We can load tone prints, standard corresponding to pedals like the compressor, the hypergravity, or the like flashback to delay. And we can pull up all those standard presets, and then loaded in the pedal is a bunch of favorites that people have downloaded, or popular tone prints, and you can load them all in. You can save these pedal boards here, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's take a look at the back side of this pedal. So we have stereo in, stereo out. I'm running mono in, mono out, but it has capabilities for stereo. And we have MIDI in, MIDI out. We have an expression jack, which we can hook up an expression pedal like I have here, and I'll demonstrate what kind of functions you can do with that. And then also it's got a nice feature where it has an audio loop. So we can insert drive pedals, we can insert our own analog style pedals in the loop. And what's cool is that we can choose where we can put that loop in between either of the effects, or we can put it at the beginning or at the end of the chain. And right now I have it between the compressor and this quintessence harmony. And so you can see the little jack input and output. So we can route that. This pedal is 9 volts and requires 600 milliamps. That's what it says on the back. I'm running 500 milliamp output from a Strymon power supply, and seems to be doing fine. And let's move on to the front of the pedal. And each of the 5 foot switches here are mash foot switches. So we can toggle the mash, or like a tap tempo. We can choose like the function of the secondary function of the switch, or we can turn off the mash function, which is really cool. Let's say if we want to move around the effects easily, all we do is just hold down on the 2 effects that we want to swap, and in a few seconds we've swapped them. And I have an iPad here connected, so we can control the effects in depth via Bluetooth. So let's, for example, let's switch that back. So we have our flashback delay, and when the effect is on, it basically lights up, you know, corresponding with the LED to the effect that we have. So to go to different boards, we can hit this board switch. I'm on board 16. You can go all the way over 100 boards, or we can triple tap either foot switch 1 or 2, and we can go to the board selection, and later you'll be able to name the boards instead of just numbers. So that's a way to get to different boards, and the boards are automatically saved. So whatever effects we have, it's going to save it if we go to the next board. We have the Toneprint knob here. We have 3 different knobs here, and they don't do anything when you're in the play mode here. There's a play and edit mode. We can go into edit mode, and this is where our iPad comes in handy. So, all right, so let's go to pedal board number 1, and I'm going to show you guys how you edit an effect. So when you're in play mode here, this little toggle here goes between edit or play, and we can connect the pedal via Bluetooth. So we go to edit here, and our effects scroll. We go all the way down. We're going to go to global Bluetooth connect, and we're going to connect here on the iPad as well. And this will allow us to deep edit the effects or the parameters in each effect, because it's kind of a limited control here. With we can, you know, control sustain, attack, level, for example, for the compressor. But the effect that we're going to be editing, we hit with these foot switches. So 1 is blinking, so let's go to play. We got a compressor here on number 1. Let's go to, let's edit the Corona chorus, for example. We go to edit, we hit number 3, and we're editing the Corona chorus, and we have our iPad here showing the deep edits here, because we have just depth, we have speed, and we have effects level, which we can control here as well. And we can map the 3 different knobs and what they do. So we have like effects level, and we can even draw out our different sort of rate at how the knob corresponds to, for example, we could see it moving up and down. We can kind of draw like the rate at how quickly the effect will rise as we turn the knob. And we can also attach 3 different functions to each knob. So here we have like, this is the effects level. Then we can even add more functions to our knob. So then over here, for example, like speed, we're controlling the speed, and then we're controlling the delay time at the same time. So if we go here to the speed knob here, we have modulation speed and we have delay time, and we can even add a 3rd function. I mean, it gets kind of crazy, but what we could do is we can map out each effect differently. So if we go to, for example, the delay time, we can raise it, like invert it. So as we raise our knob, we're basically crossing the 2 parameters. So one is ramping, one is slowing down. I mean, the possibilities are just almost endless here. And we go to the depth knob, we're just only controlling modulation depth. And this pedal is very versatile as far as how it's going to evolve over time. TC Electronics wants people's feedback on things that they can improve, and this is hardware, and then they can do software updates, which is really cool. That it can really expand this this unit here to do a lot of cool things in the future. And they're also adding some more effects down the road in 2020. They're going to add the helix phaser, the viscous vibe, and also a looper function. So that's really cool. That's coming in 2020, sometime mid to late 2020. So the way we load in Toneprint is we go to our iPad, we find the Plethora X5, and then we can load in any different, so we're on the compressor, so we're gonna find the compression, hypergravity compressor. And so here are just different tone prints, so like Feel Good. Let's load it into the board. Oh, it's already loaded in here, but we're gonna load it in again. So here we go, found it here, Feels Good. The Plethora has these mash foot switches, and it allows us to use them as an expression function for any parameter in the effect. So for example, we have the reverb here, the Hall of Fame reverb. We're in play mode, so we can't really adjust anything. So when we go to edit on our iPad here, we have the mash foot switch pulled up. So what we could do is we can assign 3 different parameters to control for this effect. So right now I have the reverb decay and the reverb effects level. So when we hit the mash button, we're controlling those 2 parameters. I can even insert a 3rd one, but for right now I'm just going to do those 2. So then when we play, go to the play mode here, and then we're going to hit the mash foot switch and see what that does to the sound. So when we're hitting it, here it's controlling modulation speed. So for example, let's hear the effect. Let's go over the flashback 2 delay here. We can select the mash or a tap tempo here for this foot switch here. So right now it's set to mash. When we go to edit mode, we can control what the mash is doing. Let's check it out here on the iPad. So it's doing delay feedback basically and input level. So we're doing two different functions here with a switch, and it's pretty much set to do that together. So what we could do is switch it to tap tempo. So we're going to go down all the way to the settings. Here we're going to go to board settings, second foot switch function. We're going to go to delay, which is in our slot number 5, and we can go between mash or tap tempo. Let's go to tap tempo. Let's go back out. Let's go to play, and now we have a BPM readout of the tempo. So to access that, this LED will indicate the tempo time. And so let's turn on the delay, and then we can hold down for a second to control our BPM. All right, so I'd like to talk about the inserts. So we have an insert on the back of the Plethora where we can insert like analog effects. I have an overdrive pedal. So right now it's sitting between compressor and delay, and we can move that around. So we go to edit mode, we go all the way down to settings, we go to board, we go effects loop insert. Now we can move that around. So we have a beginning of the chain. Let's put it between 3 and 4, for example. Let's go back to play. So now it's showing the little jacks here. So it's between the harmony and the reverb. So we can enable our compressor and, for example, the reverb. So let's turn on our overdrive pedal. And now let's move it between the reverb and the delay. So we're going to go back to the edit mode, go to settings, board, effects loop. So between 4 and 5. Now let's go back to play, and the insert now here. Okay, so we have inserted the effects loop on a foot switch here that's dedicated on slot number 3 here. So we can toggle the drive on and off, which is going before the reverb and delay. Let's check that out. And what's easy now here is that when we have the effects loop on a dedicated slot, we can, for example, switch it around with the compressor. So now we have the effects loop before the compressor. Or we can put the effects loop all the way to the end of the chain. All right, so now I have a plugged in expression pedal to the Plethora X5, and what we could do in the settings here, we can set up the expression pedal function. So we can go whether it could be a volume pedal for the overall pedal board here, or we could do a modifier. So when we go to modifier, we can dedicate it to either the 5 different slots. So on 5 I have the reverb, so we go to reverb, and then we can do here kind of basic like decay, tone, effects level, or we can do expression modifier, which takes us to the app. And going to the app, we hit edit. All right, when we go here to the expression pedal, we can see the expression move up and down. And so that's the input level. We can control, again, 3 different parameters here on an effect. So we have the reverb, and for example, we're going to be swelling our sounds into the reverb. So dry, and then I'm going to swell the reverb in.